Hey guys, Northeast Survival and Preparedness. I want to do a video on this Marbles Camp Axe. We will run down the stats real quick. 15 3/4 inches total length, 6-inch head, 4-inch cutting length on the bit. It's about 2.5 pounds. I haven't found exact numbers, but I'm guessing it's about a 2-pound head, and then a little bit excess in the handle there. It's an American Hickory handle made in El Salvador for marbles. Marbles has been around for ages, but as of lately, most of their products are made overseas. However, this one's made in El Salvador, which I'm guessing, just speculation here, that it's the same facility where the Condor line is made, so I'm hoping they have that same quality to them. It's a 1045 carbon steel, which is a not my favorite steel for an axe head, but it is an okay steel. It is one of the lower carbon steels, so it has a lower amount of carbon compared to most carbon steels, so it is a little on the softer end, but that's okay for an axe. It has a squared off pole in the back here for hammering pegs and whatnot. It's kind of what you would refer to as a maybe a Hudson Bay pattern or a Greenland pattern, depending on which maker is making this style. They have roots going back to the French fur trade in the area of like the Hudson Bay, St. Lawrence Seaway, etc. Very easy, lightweight hand axe, something that you can travel with quickly and use for simple camp chores as well as processing game. So that's that. Let's get into my opinions and thoughts on this bad boy. First off, I'm going to say the head came very sharp, nice convex edge to it, almost like a mirror finish on this bad boy when you get it. Has the Marbles logo engraved into it rather than just written on it, so it will stay there forever. And I do kind of appreciate that detail in their work. American Hickory handle, held in place with a wood wedge and a round metal wedge. Lanyard hole in the handle. Shape is decent. It's a very good sharp point to it that comes in and has very thin cheeks, so it makes it very good for chopping as opposed to splitting. It'll be a decent splitter, but with a thin bit like this, those usually lend very well to chopping and limbing and things like that, as opposed to splitting. Your splitting tends to be more of a wedge-like shape. Now, a pattern like this would typically be used with softwoods. This is something you would use for taking down soft pine, things like that. It's not meant for felling trees. It's not meant for splitting maple and oak and stuff like that. This design is meant for softwoods, for that kind of use. Not you're not going to be felling big oaks with this bad boy. Let's just put it that way. So my major problem, I have two problems with this axe. First, actually I got three big problems. First is the shape of the handle. As you can see, we'll zoom out a little bit here. The handle is very thick up towards the head here, and then thins down extraordinarily, and then thickens back up at the palm swell. But it has a very big sweep in it, which I really do not like. I do not like the amount of sweep in that. It's really uncomfortable to hold, and it really throws the balance off while you're holding it. When you put this in your hand, it literally feels like this thing's going to go flying out of your hand, because A, the handle's really thin where you grab it, and B, the balance is just all forward. So it feels like something, if you weren't holding on to it very well, it may slip out of your hands, and actually it did do that to me. In my field testing, I actually was just splitting some very soft pine, and this sucker got away from me, and when it did, I hit it on the garage floor and chipped up the blade a little bit, but that'll come out with a file, no problem. Probably even come out with sandpaper. So I don't like that big forward sweep. I don't like that the handle gets really, really thin. And I understand historically, axe and hatchet handles were considerably shorter, 50, 60 years, I'm not sorry, shorter, thinner 50, 60 years ago. It helps, a thinner handle helps absorb a little more shock. But in this case, it just doesn't work with it. It's a really poor grip. And then it just puts so much weight in the front of this. As you can see, the handle swells. It actually comes out from the head and gets, kind of much bigger. And then it thins down quite a bit. It's not only is it small and thin, but it's a really poor grip. When you're holding it here, it's a really poor grip. The whole thing just feels like it wants to go flopping out of your hand. I don't much care for the grip on this. The only comfortable grip I get out of this is when I'm kind of half choked up on it and doing delicate work with it. Then I feel like I have a good, nice grip on this thing. My other complaint is the grain. I doubt this is going to show up on camera. At first glance, it appears like it has a nice grain orientation on it. But when you start actually looking at it, you see a lot of the grains actually run off the handle. And you find some that actually run and twist around onto the side. And so the grain on this is not very straight grained at all. So I am not happy with that. This handle will likely fail at some point in the life of this axe. Not because it's so thin. I'm not worried about it being thin, because it is hickory. It's going to take a beating. But the amount of runoffs on the grain on this is just not acceptable to me in a way that I feel like it would be last anything more than a couple of hard uses. I wouldn't doubt that this thing snapped the first season. So just based on that, my second other big complaint, and hopefully you'll be able to see, is they used epoxy to fit the handle. Not epoxy, they used like a wood filler. Hopefully it shows in the front and in the back to fill the gaps when they did it. Now I don't mind if I get an axe with a little bit of a gap, but I don't know how much wood filler was used in here. And you can see it's actually on the head itself. So I don't know how much of this is filler to get this to fit right. Now my problem with using like a wood filler on an axe head is it's going to break free at one point or another. You're going to take a hard swing, it's going to break free, and at that point the head is going to come loose. It's just a matter of time with this. But other than that, I mean, the handle is a little bit proud, which is what it's supposed to be. It's got a nice thick wedge in there with a metal wedge along with it. So it was done properly, just not a good handle, number one. It's a bad design of a handle, in my opinion. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, it's, it'd probably be really good for people with smaller hands, but you know what? I honestly would never hand this to my wife to use. I would never hand this to like my nephew to use. The balance on this thing is way off with this handle, and I'd be afraid of them, this thing getting away from them and really getting hurt, because this is kind of on the bigger side of a hatchet, so you're going to be tempted to use this with a full hard swing. And hatchets like this can actually be more dangerous than an axe, because it's very easy if you lose your grip on one of these for it to come flying back, hit you in the shin, hit you in the thigh, hit you in the groin, wherever. It's real easy when these things kind of pop loose to hit you anywhere if you're not using it properly. So not something I would use. So how am I going to fix this? Basically what I'm going to do is, once we get some sunny weather here, I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to smash this head against the biggest tree I can find for as hard as I can until I break this handle, which who knows how long that'll take. It could take 5 minutes, it could take a while. We'll see. We'll find out how tough this handle really is, and I'm going to replace it with this straight 16-inch broad axe handle. I always have a big preference for straight handles anyway. I think they perform better, and this one here has got a nice grip to it, good for my size hand. I might thin it out a little bit with sandpaper because it does have a varnish on it, So I'm going to take that varnish off and thin this out a little bit, and I think it'll actually be a very good handle for this pattern. I feel like just because of the how much thinner this handle is at the head, you can see you've got a good centimeter less material than where that bulge is. I think that will let me choke up on the blade a little better and a little higher and get a better grip up close to the blade. And I also think if you are using it up close, you know, with a really choked up grip, this will help because it doesn't have this big gigantic swell. That'll help keep your knuckles, you know, especially with this indentation here, will help keep your knuckles away when you're doing close-up work. So I think that'll help protect the knuckles a little bit, whereas when you're using it like this, I'm a little worried, you know, your knuckles are pretty close to your work material. You only got maybe a 2-inch difference, so you could definitely scrape your knuckles up pretty good on this one. So that's my plan. I'm going to break the hell out of that handle. I don't know how long it'll take, but I'm going to do it because I don't like it. I don't think it's very safe, number one, and I don't think it's safe. I don't think it'll last, so I will replace it. So in the end, what do we got here? We got a $20 axe head that I think is really nice on a crummy handle, but no big deal because you can get these hatchet handles from House Handle Company, and I'll show you the number on here if we can get this to focus. But this is a 16-inch broad hatchet handle from House Handle Company, and these are like $3.50 for one. They're really inexpensive, so I have no problems, guys, buying an axe and rehandling it. That's no big deal for me. So don't take this as a horrible critique, because I'm sure when you buy these, I'm sure the handles come in all different qualities, different grains, and maybe mine's just luck of the draw that it's a really crummy, twisted grain on it. But to fix it is literally, you know, it will take me 10 minutes to rehang this onto what I think is a better handle. So I'll do a video of that when I'm done, show you what it looks like, how it performs. But as it is, you know, my testing, I really wasn't happy with it. This thing just, it feels like it's going to fly out of your hand every time you use it, and the balance is poor, and I wouldn't be comfortable lending this to someone who's not very experienced with hatchets, because it's a little bit awkward. But I really do like the head. I really do like the pattern here, and price is right. You know, for $20, you're not going to find a large sized hatchet in this pattern that's this affordable. So I definitely think it is worth the money to buy the extra handle for it if you don't like it. So we'll see. I'm going to hopefully do an update on this in a couple of weeks, maybe less. We'll see how long it takes me to break this handle, and hopefully we get a lot better use out of it with a broad hatchet handle. So hope you guys enjoyed.